Day one of our Tokyo adventure, and unfortunately, Godzilla has been spotted in the city.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Okay. Well, we did survive Godzilla. And hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
And we're living that full life, surviving Godzilla on Royal Caribbean's 9-month Ultimate World Cruise.
Well, we are, and friends, today we are in Tokyo. Our ship actually docks overnight here. Mm-hmm. So we've got 2 days to spend in Tokyo, which is kind of a treat for us,
it
really.
Is. Yeah, and spoiler alert, 2 days is nowhere enough to see all of Tokyo.
It really isn't.
Yeah, it's such a, it's one of the most populous cities in the world. There's 40 million people in the area of Tokyo, 10 million in the center of Tokyo. It's just unbelievable as far as a city goes. But let's get into cruising into Tokyo. There are a total of 6 cruise ports that you can dock at. So you're going to want to be careful. If you are cruising in Asia, and you're going to your cruise ship is stopping in, I'm going to use air quotes, Tokyo, you need to really make sure where you're docking. Right. So there are 4 cruise ports in Tokyo Harbor, and then there's 2 in Yokohama that are used. 3 of the cruise ports in Tokyo Harbor, you have to go under the Rainbow Bridge, and it's very low. So chances are, if you're on a cruise ship of any size, you're not going to be docking there. That leaves 1 cruise port in Tokyo. Then there's 2 in Yokohama. And if your cruise ship is very big, it won't make it under the Yokohama Bridge. And so you're going to be docking out at the cargo cruise terminal. So we docked, though, at the actual Yokohama cruise terminal, a beautiful cruise terminal.
Oh, it was. There's just lots of wooden boardwalk, but it's just gorgeous there. They've done a really, really nice job with that terminal.
Yeah, it was really nice, very comfortable, easy to get on and off. They have the airport style jetways, the gangways that go on and off to get there. Yeah, one of the better cruise terminals we've certainly been at, in the wood and everything, just breathtaking.
Well, Mike, let's talk a little bit about Yokohama in relationship to Tokyo.
Right, because this can make a huge difference in your touring plans. So if your cruise ship docks in Yokohama, or you're just staying in Yokohama, just realize that this is a good hour from Yokohama into Tokyo proper, and you have to take a train to get there. Well, you could rent a car, but it'd be very expensive. I think we heard that a taxi ride from Yokohama into Tokyo is about $200, so you really don't want to do that.
You could take the bullet train.
You could take the bullet train. You must get a reservation for the bullet train, and it only goes to specific train stations. So you got to take a train to get to the train, to take the train to Tokyo. So, and the bullet train is about $30 a ticket versus the normal train. The bullet train takes about half an hour. The normal train takes about an hour, and the normal train's like $9. So it's hardly worth it. If you want to take the bullet train as a tourist experience, it's awesome. The bullet train, though, is a lot better if you're going to take it like from, Yokohama to Osaka or something like that.
Sure. And we would have considered the bullet train, but there were no reservations, so that was completely out for us.
Yeah, it was sold out with the cruise ship and everything. In Yokohama, there just was no reservations left. So what we did is we walked from this really nice cruise terminal to the closest metro train station, or Yokohama train station. We bought our tickets. It's very easy to read the board to see what, how much you need to pay or what you need to do. Because what you have to do is you have to buy a ticket from Yokohama into Tokyo, and that's on a particular rail system. And then once you're in Tokyo, you can buy a Tokyo Metro ticket. And this is a little interesting. Yeah. There are actually 2 metro companies that run the subways or the metro system in Tokyo. So you want to buy the combo ticket that includes both the metro companies in Tokyo, and that was like $6 or something. It was not very expensive for a whole day.
It probably sounds confusing. We're probably making it sound confusing, but it really isn't. That things are quite well explained once you get there and you're reading the schedules and you're seeing the train lines, that it really is not as difficult as it sounds. It just takes a moment just to study the system, and there's the Japanese people are very helpful, and there's always someone there that's willing to give you a hand.
Yeah, and all the ticket machines, for example, have a button for English, so
Right.
you can switch your language. You can do it right there in English. It actually, as Nancy said, when you're explaining it, it sounds like you got to take this train to this train, but
it really isn't that bad.
It really isn't that bad.
Well, our train took us to Shibuya Station, and very near there is Shibuya Crossing. And you may have heard about Shibuya Crossing. It is the busiest intersection in the world, where every 2 minutes, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500 people cross the intersection, and they stop the traffic going all directions. Traffic's completely stopped, and then people start crossing the street, and they'll crisscross in the middle. They'll every which way. It's just a mesh of people, and then in 2 minutes it all opens back up. The cars all go, and then it's this mesh of people again. It's just really the craziest thing.
Yeah, it is quite a sight to see. And we were there on a Saturday morning, and so that actually, the first time we saw it wasn't even that busy, but later we saw there's actually several crossings like this in Tokyo, and they can get incredibly busy. So you just need to be aware of your surroundings, go with the flow, stay with your group, and it's all good. But yeah, especially when you get into some of the really crowded ones. But that was quite a sight to see.
It really
was.
Well, from there, we went to the Yoyogi Park, which was nearby. And it happened that it was Tokyo's Earth Day. They were having a celebration there. So there were lots of tents that were set up that were all promoting ecology. And I had a rather interesting experience there.
It was hilarious. I loved it.
The fire department, the Tokyo Fire Department was there, and they had set up a truck, and it was actually an earthquake simulator. So I got to go in the truck and experience what an earthquake would feel like. And I'd be scared to death. If I were in a building that was really shaking that much, I'd be scared out of my wits.
Yeah, so you can see Nancy here in the earthquake simulator. Get on your knees, Nancy. Can you get on? Okay. There you go. Well, that, I believe what the gentleman next to us said, that was simulating a 7 on the Richter scale earthquake.
That'd be a big earthquake.
Yeah. So that was pretty impressive, and you held on and you did okay.
I lived to tell about it.
You did. You lived through an earthquake. So now you've survived Godzilla and an earthquake. So we walked through the park, enjoyed just the nice scenery, and then we actually did walk by the Meiji Shrine. Now, this is one of the largest, most famous shrines in Tokyo, in fact, in all of Japan. But that said, we're not going to tell you about that one today. We're just teasing a little bit. We're going to return to this temple tomorrow with a professional guide who's going to give us some real in-depth discussion and knowledge about the Meiji emperorship and the temple itself. So that's going to be in our day to Tokyo. So be sure to turn on your notifications and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our 274-night ultimate world cruise adventures. And tomorrow we're going to show you even more of Tokyo. So
Thank you, friends.
That's right. We do appreciate it.
After the shrine, we were walking around what's called the Shinjuku area. There's lots of shopping. There's plenty of places to eat. There was a little food truck on the street that was selling panda donuts. These cute little pandas on a stick. So we had to have a panda donut.
Yeah, it was really cute.
It was cute, and it tasted like a cake donut.
A cake donut, yeah, but that was really cute. All our friends got one too, and we shared a panda donut, and that was a lot of fun. And then we walked around that area a little bit more, and Tokyo is an extremely international city. So you think, oh, I'm in Japan, all I have is Japanese food. Well, that's like saying you're in New York and all you get is hamburgers. So we were looking around, and something caught our eye for lunch.
Right. It was a Turkish kebab that was actually run from people from Turkey. And we had not had kebabs in years.
Yeah,
So it's
since we lived in Germany, we used to get them there all the time.
This
Yeah.
sounded very, very good. So we had a Turkish kebab for lunch.
Yep, and to be clear, people think of kebab, they think of a shish kebab, which is meat on a stick. A Turkish dornier style kebab is in a pita or in a bun or bread, and it's more of a pita sandwich or a bread sandwich with the shaved kebab meat. And it was actually very good.
It was delicious.
And the interesting part is when you see the picture of the French fries, those are actually extruded French fries. They took a mashed potato mix, pressed it through an extruder and into the fryer, and they made these long potatoes that you can see, and they tasted kind of like Pringles, versus French fries.
And I kind of thought they tasted. It's been a long time since I've had Burger King French fries,
Oh.
but that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Although I haven't had
The
Burger,
old Burger
King
French
fries in a
fries,
long time.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting because they were like, how did they make these fries so long? Then we're watching him, and he's putting them through a potato press with mashed potatoes, and it was kind of interesting. But that was kind of interesting having Turkish kebabs in Tokyo, but it is a very international city. So, well, we went ahead and walked around that area some more, just explored. We looked at different things, and then we worked our way over to the largest, I believe it's the largest department store in Tokyo.
Takashimaya. I hope
Takashimaya
I'm
department
pronouncing
store.
that correctly.
Yep.
And it was 14 stories
Yes.
high, but the top several floors are all restaurants and places to eat, and the bottom two
The
or
basement.
three floors.
Well, it's actually the basement.
But 2 or 3 floors are all of a grocery store. But there, I think you can buy almost anything you would ever want is available there.
Yeah, and it was really quite fascinating walking through. And we're looking for a couple things, and we asked one of the employees actually a couple times. They are so helpful. It's they pull out like if they don't know what you're asking for, they'll pull out a book that has everything the store carries in like a spiral book, and they'll flip through it, find it. If they don't know, they'll call somebody, and then they point you to, it's on the 6th floor in this corner, in this area of the department store. This is where, pro tip, Google Translate comes in real handy. So have that ready for you. Don't expect anybody to speak English. And you can download Google Translate offline, so you can type in and say, do you know where the is, and it will put it in and then translate to Japanese. You just show them your phone, and that is coming so handy, handy. And then if you are connected to the internet with Google Translate, then you can use the camera, and it will live translate like menus, signs, those kind of things. I don't know how we got around before it, because it just makes it so easy to go into any international city. It's almost like cheating now. It's because you can read almost any sign now. So, but it was a lot of fun, and we really about walked our legs off, I think.
Yeah, it's time to sit down once again, and we found a little coffee shop called One Half, and we had a little bite and something to drink. And one of the things that we had there was a layered cake, a crepe cake. And I don't remember how many layers were on it, but maybe 15 crepes. So they made all the crepes, and then they stacked them, and they put just a little bit of filling in between each one. That was delicious.
It's one of the best cakes I'd ever had.
It was really, really good.
And it gets back to that Japanese culture and the things you see in Japanese food. Like if you remember us in our Nagasaki episode, where you got an ice cream and the guy puts them on like a rose. Yeah. The Japanese do simple things better than anyone we've seen in the world.
Even like our panda donut that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Things are just cute. They're interesting and charming.
And it makes it a lot of fun. And
it does.
But getting to why we stopped for afternoon tea. So little pro tip here, there's not a lot of places to sit down in Tokyo.
That's true.
Yeah. So if you're walking, and today we left the ship at 9 a.m. And our plan is, and you'll see because we're going to talk about it, we're not getting back to the ship till after 11 o'clock at night. So you're talking about a 14-hour day. And again, unless you're sitting in a restaurant or something, not a lot of places to sit. Be aware you might see chairs or benches outside of some buildings, especially restaurants. Those are for the patrons waiting for a table, and they will shoo you off if you're sitting on those. But having a coffee and sitting in a coffee shop and just relaxing is a great way to kind of refresh yourself, especially in a big city like this that's hustle and bustle and moving around. And that helped a lot. Just having that afternoon tea was good and relaxing. Well, after our tea, we were going to meet some more friends who were staying downtown, and you saw them.
Staying the night.
Yeah, staying the night in Tokyo, because they were going to go to a Tokyo Giants baseball game the next day. And in fact, this is Leslie from Point Your My Soul North. We've mentioned her a few times. Her and her husband are staying down in the Tokyo area, and they had us come down to their hotel because they're staying at the Godzilla Hotel. And so that's where you saw the intro coming in. And yes, that is a giant Godzilla head on top of their hotel. And they even, we met them and they invited us up to their room and the floor to see the Godzilla Hotel, to actually see the floor the Godzilla's on. And it's really neat. They're on the 30th floor, which is the Godzilla floor. And there's all these pictures of Godzilla movies.
You guys were geeking
Oh,
out.
I was so geeking out. And it was really neat because they even gave them Godzilla passport covers and a Godzilla picture frame and all this for staying at the Godzilla Hotel. And we were like, okay, when we come back to Tokyo, we're staying at the Godzilla Hotel. It was so neat. Yeah, it was really interesting to see. And their view from the 30th floor was tremendous.
It really was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. So, 2 thumbs up for the Godzilla Hotel there. They enjoyed it quite a bit. But be aware, hotel rooms in Tokyo are very small. And quite often you're going to have 2 very small, I'm not even going to call them twin beds, 2 very small beds instead of like a king bed or even a double or a queen. Just be ready for that in hotels in Tokyo. Well, after we had the tour of the Godzilla Hotel, you actually saw in the intro the Godzilla breathes his radioactive breath, twice an evening. I believe it was at 6 and 8 o'clock, I think was when it was, or
Something
8 and 10,
like that.
or yeah. And it's a couple times. You can ask around in the area and they'll verify when he's going to go off, and music plays and you can hear him roar and all that. That was kind of fun. But then we started just walking around the area. Now it's getting to be about 7 o'clock at night, so it's time for dinner. You probably think all we do is eat, but there's a lot of walking and filling in between that. In fact, probably a pro tip here, you are going to walk a lot.
And there's
in
a lot of
Tokyo.
stairs.
And a lot of stairs. I think this day we did 22,000 or 26,000 steps.
It was a crazy amount. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a big city, a lot of walking. Just prepare yourself that you're going to do a lot of walking. So we stopped, and our friends had a restaurant that they really enjoy going to, that their kids loved. Again, not exactly Japanese, but it was actually very good.
It was. It's called the Coco Curry House, and it was delicious. The curry was excellent, with the rice and then the meat, and it was very easy to order because there were a lot of pictures. We had quite a good meal there.
Yeah, we had a naan bread. We had the curry. It came with rice. Mine came with pork and chicken, I think, and
a potato cake as well.
Yeah, we kind of tried a variety of things on the menu, and again, it was like, I think we paid like $20 for both of us for this meal. It was very reasonable, especially in the middle of Tokyo.
I thought so.
In the Shinjuku area, yeah.
After dinner, we went to an area of town called Golden Gai, and Golden Gai is several square blocks just full of bars. In fact, they say there's somewhere around 200 or more bars, and some are very tiny. They hold 6 people to maybe 16 people. It's just a very small bar, and there's bars on top of bars.
Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun and very fascinating. The streets and alleyways. I mean, some of these alleyways are barely shoulder width, and you walk down one, and oh look, there's another bar, and a lot of them are up staircases, and it was a truly fascinating area to go to and a lot of fun. A couple things about it. Be aware that a lot of the bars will have a sign that says no foreigners, members only, cash only. Most of the bars are cash only, so you got to be ready for that with Japanese yen. They do not take, don't even try. In fact, I would say all over Japan, don't be the tourist that comes and says, well, why don't you take American dollars? Because it's Japan. They're their own country, so don't even try that. So make sure you have cash. Japan is a very cash centered country, but you go through and you walk and just find a bar that looks interesting to you. Some of them will actually say foreigners welcome, credit cards. I mean, you can tell the ones that are leaning a little bit more to gear themselves to the foreign visitors. But we saw one that just kind of looked interesting. There was a staircase. We sent a scout up ahead to go up the staircase and see if they had any room, and they did. And our
This was
group,
an interesting place.
yeah, our group went on up, and the walls of the staircase were all, thick red shag carpeting. And you get up there, and the entire room is covered with postcards and dollar bills and different currencies and notes and all kinds of things. And we pretty well almost filled up this bar. That we had a fairly large group of 10 of us. And, we packed ourselves in there and pulled up, and we sat and had a drink. But here's the interesting part is, there's nothing more Japanese than the list of rules as you're sitting in the bar.
You have to abide by. It's like, no singing, don't stomp your feet on the floor, no loud noises.
That's right. And don't take your drinks out in the hallway. Don't, no smoking. So because there's another bar right below this one, and obviously the neighbors had complained, or the other bars had complained that this place got too crazy. But it's very interesting. But now all the bars don't have the same rules, but this particular one did. And then we sat and enjoyed ourselves, and we had to add our own little piece to the wall of the bar. So we, if you ever go up in Golden Gai again, look for the bar that has a living phase 2 business card tacked to the wall, because we left one in there. Well, we left that particular bar and just wandered around through the streets till we found another interesting one. And again, sent a scout up. They had room. This one really only seated 8 people.
Tight.
Yeah, but we got up and we squeezed 10 in, and the proprietor was up there. We were the only people in this one.
Let's talk about going up. This was almost climbing up.
I'm
not kidding you. Almost climbing up a ladder.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, you can see from the video. It was very
straight up.
Yep. Yeah. And when we got up there, the place was so small. She took we had our bags with us, because remember, we spent all day in Tokyo, so we all had some bags
and backpacks.
And so she opened up a cabinet on the side, put all our bags in the cabinet, shut the cabinet up, and then that gave us enough room to squeeze 10 of us in this little bar. But this one, the theme of this particular one was, she played 80s music and kind of all kinds of 80s music, everything from pop to punk to whatever, and she was a blast. She was just a hoot. And so we had a couple drinks and just sat around and laughed, and we throw some challenges to her, like play this song from the 80s, and she'd play it, and it was a lot of fun.
Do you want to talk about my plum wine?
Yeah, that was funny. So Choya is a plum wine that's a Japanese plum wine. In fact, you can see it at Costco in the States, and it has large plums in it. It's kind of a sweet wine, but it's okay. It's not my favorite. It's a little too sweet for me, but it was hilarious. We were watching her, and she had the bottle of the fancy Choya, and we had got some drinks of it. And she opens it up, reaches down to the counter, and brings up the milk carton of Choya, the really cheap stuff, and refills it.
Refills the fancy bottle.
It was funny. And just doing it right in front of us, like, yep, that's how it's done.
That's how we roll.
That's how we roll. So, no, that was a lot of fun. And we just enjoyed it so much. In fact, you can see me looking out from the tiny window down below as we were getting ready to leave. And we could really only stay till about 10:30 at night. We couldn't go late here in Golden Gai. And be aware, it really only gets started about 9 o'clock at night. But we had to go and catch a train, because the trains back to Yokohama to our cruise ship don't run after midnight. Mm-hmm. So here's a bit of a pro tip. If you are touring Tokyo and your cruise ship doesn't overnight or something, and you're docked in Yokohama, you may really want to consider getting a hotel room. It would save you the hour trip, round trip back and forth. You could have more fun. You could stay out later. You can do what, if we did it again, if we knew now what we know then, which we're always learning on these trips, we would have got a hotel and stayed overnight as well. But we had to head back to the station and take the hour trip down to Yokohama.
That's right. Mm-hmm. One thing I want to talk about here at the end of all of this is Tokyo in and of itself. I felt very safe while we were there. Really, the entire time we were all together, I felt very safe and very comfortable. However, as you got to the end of the evening, on a loudspeaker coming out on the streets, they were saying, and even in English, to beware of people that approach you, and they were talking about prostitution and things like that. And
do not accept any solicitation from individuals on the street.
So it's just something to be aware of.
And our friends that we mentioned that stayed at the Godzilla Hotel, They went to a couple bars after we did. They didn't stay out too late. They went back, went to bed, got up in the morning to have breakfast because, as we mentioned, they're going to the Tokyo Giants baseball game. But they said they saw the aftermath of Golden Gai, and they said it was not pretty. It said, in fact, they came out about 7 or 8 in the morning to get breakfast, and some of the bars were still going, and people were stumbling out in the streets, and they said it was really... But the interesting part was when we saw it in the before, the streets were clean and everything. So, they're going to come through, clean all the streets. It's very Japanese, and everything will be in order and in place for it to happen again the next night. Now, remember, we were there on a Saturday night, so that gets pretty crazy. But just be aware of your surroundings. Don't do something, to be blunt, stupid. Take care of yourself, go with a group, and you'll always be safe. But I would agree with you. Tokyo is an immensely safe city, immensely safe. Just always be smart as a tourist. So we took our train back to Yokohama, and we walked back to the ship. Beautiful sights, and we had to get some rest because tomorrow we've got another big day of touring Tokyo.
Right. We've got a private tour their guide is going to take us to another area of Tokyo, although we will see the shrine that we kind of teased about earlier. We're going to see a very famous shrine, a temple, and just experience a whole other area.
And have one of the best meals we've had in Tokyo so far. So you've got to see that. It was really, really neat.
All right, friends, stay tuned, and we will see you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.